Hello everyone, Andrew here, and welcome to the Super Mario Land 2 bonus video where I'll be showing you a couple of neat tricks and secrets that you can pull off in Super Mario Land 2, and you don't need any kind of cheating device or anything like that. The only thing is that one of the things I'm going to show in this video, you do need a specific version of the game in order to pull it off, because it was fixed in later versions, but I'll talk more about that when we get there. We're also going to be playing this today on the Game Boy Player, so the colors that you see are the actual colors that you would get, again, when playing it on the GameCube's Game Boy Player, or if you were playing it on a Game Boy Advance or a Game Boy Color or something like that. So no kind of fancy color codes today. With that said, though, the first thing that I'm going to show off is actually something I'm very surprised was never brought up in the comments throughout any of the parts, just because I figured it'd be something that someone would bring up at some point. But if you press the select button on the file select screen, you actually enable easy mode, and what that does is it reduces the number of kind of threats, or rather it makes levels easier, because as we're going to see in Wario's Castle, as we're using as an example, and as you saw, it just kind of said easy mode when you enter a level there to indicate that you have easy mode activated. It's actually really interesting, some of the different things that it does to make the game easier. Like sometimes, things won't spit fire as they would in normal mode. There's a, there used to be a spiked ball thing here that would hurt you, making this jump a little bit more difficult, but that's been removed. Try not to get hit by this guy. And it's definitely obvious later on. I'm actually going to skip a little bit ahead here because we don't need to watch me beat Wario's Castle again, but there's a really, really interesting difference later on in the level, which I will show you, so we're going to skip to that right now. So in this room, you may remember from the Let's Play, I'm actually going to do a little bit of a comparison after I show this. So if you haven't watched my main Let's Play, don't worry too much. When you activate the crushing hand, it's way faster in normal mode, but in easy mode it's significantly slowed down, so even if you do accidentally activate it, you don't have to worry about it too much. Also in this room, there are more skulls for you to jump on in easy mode. Instead of just being, one and one, they actually put two beside each other to make it way easier to jump across those gaps. So that's a very interesting difference. The overall, Mario Land 2 is not the most difficult game, but Wario's Castle is definitely quite a challenge. So it's interesting things like that definitely, if you're having a lot of trouble with it, easy mode can definitely help you out. But again, for those who haven't seen my Let's Play, I'm going to compare, or just show a few quick comparison shots of what it would look like if you weren't playing on easy mode. So as you can see, both those guys are shooting fire now. There's a guy right here, again, making this jump a little bit trickier. So again, in this room here, if you activate the hands, they are just way faster. They're still dodgeable, so you're not completely out of luck if you accidentally hit the switch like I just did. But it's still, it's quite tricky. And again here, instead of having 2 and 2, you have 1 and 1, and it definitely makes it a little bit more challenging, especially because the weird kind of physics that you get in Mario Land 2 sometimes. But yeah, it's interesting, because you think of an easy mode, you might think of enemies have less health or something like that, but it's actually interesting that they did change the level in a few ways to make it literally easier. The jumps are easier, and not just enemies, so that's pretty cool, I've always thought. So that is easy mode for Super Mario Land 2. The next thing that I want to show is actually what happens when you get a game over, and then something that happens even more so after you get a game over. But I have 26 lives right now, so I'm kind of going to have to find a way to burn through all of them. And fast. Let's find the level where there's like an enemy right at the beginning, and we can easily just hold the right button and crash into them. That would not be this level. Alright, I will see you 26 deaths later. It's actually really funny how all of my bonus videos seem to include portions where I die a billion times. My Donkey Kong Country one had this as well, but here we go. Is there a 0? I actually don't know, because I'm not sure the last time I got game over Super Mario Land 2. There is a 0, so here we go! No! All of my lives! Now I'm going to lose all of my golden coins! This is terrible! No! 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 Now how am I ever going to beat Wario? This is the worst game ever! How dare it punish me for getting a game over. So that's really interesting. I mean, I guess you do think back to games like Mario 3, where it would send you back to the beginning of the world if you got a game over, or even Mario World, where it would send you back to the last point you saved. That is one thing that Mario Land 2 has going for it. It does automatically save after every level, so if you die, You usually, or like if you turn the game off, or if you get game over, you still only got to redo like the boss levels to get all of the coins back. You don't lose too much progress overall. So that's kind of interesting, and Miles Luigi wanted me to show that off, so I did. But there's actually another cool thing that we are going to be looking at on the game over screen here. And if you wait 2.5 minutes, the music will actually change to Totaka's song. Now it's really cool because Totaka was a composer, or he is a composer rather. He's still around, thankfully, but he has composed music for a whole bunch of different Nintendo games: Yoshi's Story, Wii Sports, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Paint, a whole bunch of different games. And every game that he composes for, he hides this little 19-note track in it that you can usually only find by doing something crazy, like waiting on a screen for a certain amount of time, or going to a really kind of obscure place and doing something. And Mario Land 2 is one of those games that has it. And again, you can hear it by waiting 2.5 minutes at the game over screen. You might have even heard it in the game yourself before, but not have had any idea what it is. So I'm not going to talk too much about where you can find it in other games, because I think it's really cool that, to kind of explore for it on your own. But if you want to learn more about Totaka's song and the games that it's hidden in, you can definitely look it up. But we're going to wait just about another minute or two, and I'll let everyone hear it in Super Mario Land 2. And there you go, that's Totaka's song. So very basic. I remember as a kid I accidentally found it in Yoshi's Story. Because it's actually a rather simple game to find it. Or, I mean, at least if you stay on a certain screen for long enough, you accidentally come across it, which is something that I used to do. And I had absolutely no idea what it was. I'm just like, huh, okay, the music changed for a couple of seconds. That's interesting. So again, Totaka's song is just a really cool Easter egg that he's put in all the different games that he's worked on. And I just think that's so cool that someone who's worked on games would do that. If I ever worked on video games, I think it'd be really neat to leave your little mark hidden somewhere in it in every different game that you've worked on. That's really neat. So definitely go search out Totaka song and a whole bunch of different kinds of games. Read up about it. It's really cool. And we're going to move on to our next trick.
The next trick that we're going to be looking at can only be performed in the earliest version of Super Mario Land 2, because it was fixed in later versions. I had actually been playing, Let's Playing the game on a cartridge that was the Player's Choice version, so obviously that would have been the later release. So it doesn't work on that one. It also doesn't work on the 3DS eShop release, because they used a later version for that, so that's why we're doing it this way. But if you have the earliest version, you can enter any level with a vertical pipe, and while you are inside the pipe, pause the game, but don't mess it up like I just did there. So pause the game just like that. Make sure it's a level that you have already beaten, so that when you're in the pipe, you can press select, and it's paused to exit the level, and then the next time that you enter a level, Mario will still be going downwards, and he'll end up going through the floor. And sometimes different weird things will happen. Sometimes you'll get a whole bunch of different garbage blocks. Sometimes Mario will get stuck in the void for all eternity. And sometimes, even if it looks like nothing is going on, try spin jumping. And sometimes you'll get crazy stuff like this to happen, where Mario will just be stuck in a turn block world of doom for all eternity. And you can try to stop, but Mario's just constantly being pushed to the right. Then you can kind of start spinning him again. So you can try this in a whole bunch of different levels. So go through the pipe in any level, but depending on what level you enter, something different will happen. That's like, see, we're kind of getting to the glitched garbage zone down here. See if we can make it down there any further. And just like that, we have broken the universe. So try that in a whole bunch of different levels. Unfortunately, again, figuring out what cartridge is the earliest version isn't always easy, because even if it's not the Player's Choice version, I actually had another version, another copy of Mario Land 2 that wasn't the Player's Choice version, and it still did not have the capability of doing this glitch. So try it out on your own version of Super Mario Land 2. But if not, there is other ways to try it out. But it's really cool. And yeah, I thought everyone would enjoy seeing that.
So the final... so it's actually interesting that you lose the exits that that corresponded to the boss levels, because now you have to go back and beat those 6 levels again to take yourself back up to 31 exits. That's really interesting, but funny enough, the last and final trick that we're going to be looking at today has to do with exits, and this trick was actually not found by me, and honestly, I did a little bit of research before making this video, and I can't really find too much about it anywhere. So this might be the very first time that this trick is ever shown. But I can definitely not take the credit for finding it. This was posted in a comment by a person with the username who I have no idea how I'm supposed to pronounce. It's an E, 3 Z's, another E, and 2 T's. So, down in the comments, please feel free to post how we're supposed to pronounce that. But they found it, and what it is, it's actually a way to get as many exits on your exit counter on the file select screen as you want by doing a little bit of a glitch that they discovered. So what you need to do is you need to beat a level. It doesn't particularly matter which one, but you have to get the bonus game with the crane. And then I'll show you what goes on after that. So we're gonna beat this level, and we'll be right back. So yeah, so you need to get the bonus game, and it needs to end up being the crane bonus game. And I don't know if you actually have to play it or win it, but that's just usually what I do. If you mash the A button as hard as you can when the crane bonus game starts, you'll actually always get the carrot. Now, the second that Mario turns around to start walking out the door, you reset the game, and it increases your exit counter. But when you enter the game, you'll realize that the level actually isn't beaten, despite the fact that the counter just increased. So you can do this as many times as you want to get as many exits as you want. So, if you think that 31 is a silly number for the number of exits in Super Mario Land 2 to end that, you can change that and get as many as you want. And I think it's just a super, super, super neat trick that, again, wasn't discovered by me, but the username will be displayed on the screen because I can't pronounce it. I really, really apologize for that. But it's just such a cool trick, so thank you so much for telling me about it. And I'm so happy to have been able to put it in this video to share with everyone, but I'm totally not taking credit for it. It is just so cool that you can do that, though. Like, 31's just such a silly number, but now the second Mario is walking away, you reset the game, and just like that, you can have infinite exits. So go try it out for yourself. It's super cool. And with that said, that concludes my Super Mario Land 2 bonus video and my Super Mario Land 2 Let's Play overall. So to everyone who has watched it, thank you so much. To everyone who has just come across this video randomly because you wanted to mess around with Super Mario Land 2, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will check out the Let's Play too, because it was a lot of fun. And yeah, thanks everyone. You've been awesome to everyone who's posted comments and all that, especially people who contributed and said a whole bunch of different things that I didn't know. Thank you. And again, hope you enjoyed this, and hope to see you later for something different. So thanks, and see ya.